2, 1.
Welcome on in, friends, to another episode of On Be Off Script. If you saw the previous review, you'll notice that I am alone because all of my friends were busy, which is totally cool. But you know, someone's gotta man the fort while they're away. So you're stuck with a solo review from me, and I am trying to be not awkward, but I'm a pretty awkward girly. Anyway, so now we are on to Trying Not to Have a Thought by Algernon Cadwallader. Algernon Cadwallader, I think is actually how you pronounce it. I'm hopefully never going to have to say that again in this review. But anyway, for those of you who don't know the band, they're an I keep wanting to say Ann, but it's Midwest, not Ann. Midwest. They're a Midwest emo and math rock band from Pennsylvania who were originally active from 2005 to 2012, and they've been referred to as the heroes of emo revival. The group is made up of Peter Helmes, who's on vocals and bass, Joe Reinhardt on guitar, Colin Mahoney on rhythm guitar, and Nick Taza on drums. Now, they released their debut album, Some Kind of Cadwallader in 2008, and they graduated from playing in Philadelphia basements and house shows to a full tour consisting of America and Europe. They released their second album, Parrot Files, in 2011, and despite earning praise for their very, very unique arrangements made up of like alternate tunings and off-time rhythm, they decided to end the band in 2012, and the members all pursued other creative ventures. In 2018, they ended up putting up their albums on digital streaming services for the first time, including a third LP made up of previous demos and B-sides and covers that they've previously done and just never released. And then later on, motivated by a friend to play the Fest in Gainesville, Florida, they officially came out of their hiatus in 2022, and on top of playing that festival, announced a North American tour. In an interview I read with them, they basically said, if we're gonna, come out of this and practice and perform for one show, we might as well just do a whole tour, which checks out. It's a lot of work to prep to actually perform live again. And then they ended up stating that the COVID-19 pandemic kind of put things into perspective for them. And they decided that if they were ever going to make music together again, now was the time to do it. And that brings us to their third studio album, Trying Not to Have a Thought, which balances their very witty and self-deprecating lyricism with very, very real-world issues. And personally, I don't think this album could have come out at a better time. It's heavy. It's heavy. If y'all are in the mood for a political conversation, this is not the album for you. Just giving you fair warning right now. So yeah, we're gonna dive right in and open up with a very upbeat, sad song, which is the kind of song I'm an instant sucker for. And in here, they're tackling the grief of losing what seems to be a high school friend. But honestly, if you're not paying attention to what he's singing with the instrumentals, you actually have no idea that this is a sad song, in my opinion.
Your favorite clothes from your high school wardrobe are the closest thing to having you back. I don't want your memories, they're too constrictive. Yeah, but the clothes still fit. How much of our lives did we spend kicking out the jam?
Now, the guitar is doing so much for me, and I'm like super, super obsessed with that. I'm having a lot of fun focusing on how they keep changing things up that it almost distracts me from the grief that he's working through lyrically. And I, I, it's such like an interesting combination, and I'm kind of instantly sold already. I think this was also the track they released as a single to um announce the album, which makes sense because it's I don't it really kind of balances everything they're encompassing here very well without tackling the really like they're tackling grief, but they're not really intent like getting to the intense meaty matter yet. We're gonna get there soon, don't you worry. Because yeah, now we transition to a very, very direct criticism of American history with shameless faces. Even the guy who made the thing was a piece of shit.
You can carve your name into a tree. That don't mean you own it. Land of the free. Everything is free. Goodness stealing. No mountain set to conceal. 500
Now, here we see the guitar getting grungier. Peter's vocals like are really ramping up with more emotion. His voice is cracking in between him yelling like these criticisms, and the lyrics are super super direct, but I really appreciate the bluntness of it all. Like the world's a shitty place right now, and we don't need to waste time with clever wordplay to get the point across. Like he's just laying it all out on the table here. And then next we slow all the way down with the opening of this track, almost like he's giving himself time and space to reflect on everything going around on him, which is cool. Around him, not on him, not everything going around on him. That's weird. Everything going on around him. Anyway, here's a clip.
I'd rather imagine myself nowhere. There's nowhere I'd rather be. Away from my mind. Nothing but clutter.
Yeah, so wanting to dissociate is something I think most people can relate to right now. And after he takes that time to process things in the intro, we start to ramp things back up with Peter declaring that he knows what's mine, head on tight, like he's come to terms with things and he's ready to take on life again, only to end the song with, I can't let them know I'm not fine, which is like kind of reminding us that we're all out here masking ourselves and just trying to do our best. Like, pretending everything's fine when like obviously we all know it isn't. Like the world is literally just on fire around us. But you know, we're making the most of it. And now next we get way more playful and experimental with both vocals and instrumentals, and it kind of gives us like a nice little break from the heavy subject matter.
Get me with that good expression. The only thing more helpful than a dead mind is an extension. Flip it on its back. Maybe it's the task that keeps my distractions on track. A sophisticated use of cadence and a little patience can make sense of all the waiting.
This one to me feels like the band is making fun of themselves for taking a 14-year break to make another album together. A lot of these members were in other bands together, but the original like foursome just for some reason just didn't come back together to make music again. And here that self-deprecating humor gives us like some much needed levity in between like exploring those really, really intense themes. So I like actually just really appreciated like Room to Breathe. Also, it's just so playful that the title, I didn't say the title. I don't know if I've been saying the titles. Sorry if I haven't. I caught that now and I'm not going to go back. So the title of this one is literally just procrastination written backwards. I can try to pronounce it the way it's written out, but it's not. It's not a word. So yeah, now we move on to more intensity. So we have, man, I practiced how to say this prior. And I've since listened to the Ed Sheeran album and don't know if I remember. Koyaanisqatsi. Koyaanisqatsi. I'm going to pretend that's it. I'm trying really hard. Anyway, so this one is based off of a 1982 non-narrative documentary, which is described as an essay in images and sound on the state of American civilization. And Koyaanisqatsi is a Hopi word meaning life out of balance. So right off the bat, with this reference, we know that they're commenting on like the state of the world with like the state of the modern world, like modernity and technology is kind of just like we're losing touch of, I think, what's important here.
Autopilot, hypnotized by the industrial complex. No one knows where they're going in the name of progress.
And now instrumentally, we're slowing it down, but keeping it like super, super playful to juxtapose like the super heavy theme again, which I'm obsessed with. We're referring to humanity as vampires, which is giving me like this vibe that this hypnotic grind that we're stuck in is literally sucking the life out of us. And then there's this really super cool outro fading out that's almost like sci-fi sounding, like almost something's either powering down or flying into the distance. I have no idea what that sound effect is, but I just thought it was a really, really cool sound. Leading us out of it. I don't know. I lost words there for a second. I was like, I should say something. I am trying to say something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that brings us to our title track, Trying Not to Have a Thought. And this one has us exploring that want to dissociate again. And while like extremely on the nose, I think he perfectly explains why this want he has to dissociate is so intense.
Trying not to get caught in the backwash of an artificial world constructed by blood-sucking motherfuckers in an antisocial coliseum. Pretensions and expectations imposed to manifest the status quo.
Now here, Peter's calling back the vampire metaphor from the previous song, which I think is really just driving home how like exhausting the world is thanks to these blood-sucking motherfuckers who are in charge, which blood-sucking motherfuckers are his words, but I agree. And I have to shout out the harmonica because like slay, I love a harmonica. And that moves us into You've Always Been Here. And we open up this track with the lines, You're confused. The TV and the movies really did a number on you. The TV and the news really did a number on you, which is just directly calling out how brainwashed people are by modern technology, which is, again, just bringing back previous themes from Koyaanisqatsi and trying not to have a thought. Like we're just essentially like a herd of sheep just being told what to do. And it's kind of really sad. Now, the marvelous invention that they're calling out, I'm assuming are cell phones and or social media, or it could just be modern technology and the internet in general. I think being online especially chronically online, which is funny as somebody who's literally recording a podcast to post online, but being chronically online, I think is just really, really damaging to just us, like as humans. I don't think it's good for our mental health at all. And then here we get a shout out for the liberal want of like free lunch in schools, and we end the song shaming people for not standing up to our oppressive leaders, essentially calling them bullies. I mean, not essentially, he just calls them bullies, and the reasoning for people not standing up is just a sorry act to try to protect themselves, which I can't necessarily blame people for trying to take the easy way out, but I just don't think that kind of stuff is going to enact change. And it seems like that's exactly what he's trying to call out here as well. And then that brings us to Revelation 4:20.
Don't matter your social status or where you came from. We're all living under someone else's thumb. Compartmentalizing our freedom and means of production. Hostages for someone else's profit. Never trust the president. Never trust the nation. Don't take your teacher's word for it. Do your own education.
Which we're building on the same themes again, but here the tone vocally has shifted to anger. Like Peter is screaming, "I hate the USA." He's referring to his hands as megaphones to help amplify his screams. And again, we're not like sugarcoating or dancing around the subject with any clever wordplay. It's direct, it's raw. And if you aren't as mad at the injustices happening in the world currently as he is, then like you're genuinely just part of the problem. Okay, so now that brings us to $1 Million, and we transition back to coping with humor here instead of just like screaming it in your face.
Frank here just had a brilliant idea. Spend $1 million on rock. Solely to keep people from sleeping. Out of the rain, under the freeway. What if there's thought? Yeah, totally. But abstract way to express your state of that shit. Yeah. $1 million around to eliminate negative states. What fucking crap? States you are keeping or living these days.
Now, for those of you who don't know, in Portland, large boulders were strategically placed on sidewalks and under overpasses to deter people experiencing homelessness from camping there. And now that obviously sparked outrage for being inhumane and not addressing the core cause of homelessness. And then on top of calling attention to the issue, Peter ends in shaming the listener again with the lines, when you drive on by, no one staying dry. Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel like $1 million? Because taxpayers' dollars were spent on rocks, and it probably could have been spent in a more beneficial way. But here we are, and people in power are just making very questionable decisions, and we're kind of like stuck here powerless. But at least we can sing about it. And now that brings us to Attention Move, and this kind of goes into a full-out history lesson, reminding us of the 1985 Move bombing that happened in Philadelphia.
Some black clouds never go away, just hover in place and change their shape right in front of your face. This is America.
history behind that is that police dropped a military-grade bomb on a residential home that was the headquarters of the Black Liberation Organization called MOVE. That fire killed 11 MOVE members, including their founder, John Africa, and 5 children, while destroying 61 nearby residential homes. Like, just to stress the importance of that, these were residential homes. Attention MOVE was the start of Police Commissioner Gregor Sambour's demand for them to vacate the property, only giving them 15 minutes notice. MOVE did not stand down, and when they refused to do so, the police fired over 10,000 rounds of ammunition at the house. And then when that didn't get them out of the house, the mayor of Philly, Mayor W. Wilson Good, ordered a bomb to be dropped on them. Ending in tragedy. And now, 40 years later, we're kind of still finding ourselves in a state of civil unrest, and we just continue to be at war with ourselves. Musically, the build-up to the repetition of those final lines until Peter's like belting with the guitar, popping off and squealing behind him, like really, really drove that home for me. And then last but not least, we end on a little bit of a lighter note with World of Difference. And we're bringing back some of that humor again, singing about the burden of needing a place to take a shit.
I felt the freedom of being free from rent, and felt the burden of needing a place to take a shit. It's not quite glamorous, and I'm not quite homeless. But once you start to notice, it's not a world of difference. Do we need permission to exist, or do we just need to afford it?
And now Peter here was drawing from his experience living out of a van for 22 months. And Peter's able to remind the listener that like your average person is closer to homelessness than they are to ever being as rich as the people in charge. And we just, in my opinion, we end this on like such a solid note. It's the perfect balance of that like humor and important real world issues and fun instrumentals, and a perfect way, I think, in my opinion, to like end the album. All right, so now closing thoughts. While the band named themselves after the first mayor of Yardley, PA, after seeing his name on a tombstone, the original, the name's origin, oh my God, not original. The name's origins date back to medieval times, and it actually means whiskered battle leader. And my big take from this is I will willingly follow these guys into battle after this album. On a lighter note, the emo vocals are extremely comforting to me. I've always been obsessed with the rawness and emotion behind them. The instrumentals from front to back are super, super engaging and fun to balance out that heaviness, which is super, super appreciated. And I personally think this is one of the most important albums to drop so far this year. I mean, we've listened to some heavy stuff, but it's not only is it important, I think it's extremely digestible. I guess as long as you can get behind it, Midwest emo vocals. I know they're off-putting for some, not for me. I find them so endearing. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like low-key thought this was a masterpiece. I rate this one an 8.7. Yeah, that brings us to the end of Trying Not to Have a Thought by Algernon Cadwallader. I don't think I did this in the previous video, but I should probably, ask you guys to like chat with me in the comments. I have no friends to talk to, so you guys are my friends. I would love to know what you thought of the album. Subscribe, comment, come back, check us out later, hang out with me some more. I'm always looking to make new friends. Just let me know what you thought of the album, because I just thought this was sick. I was so impressed by them, and I'm very happy they decided to come back after 14 years. Yeah. That's all you're gonna get from me. I'll see you guys soon. Mwah!
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.